Hello and welcome to Dan Talks United, another match preview. It's Aston Villa versus Manchester United. It's at Villa Park. It's Sunday, 4:30 p.m. kickoff. Can we do it, guys? Anyway, let's get into this. Like I say, it's at Villa Park. We've got a decent record there, I would say. We always seem to do okay there, even when we're not playing so well. We can still come away with a draw. I think even when things weren't looking so good for Ten Hag, we still came away with a draw from Villa Park. So I don't know whether it's disrespectful, but I think even the Aston Villa fans will say that we are like their bogey team, and if anybody's going to sort of stop their run, they would believe it would be Manchester United. So let's get into it. I'll start off by looking on FootMob, just have a look at the last 5 games for both sides and what things are going to be looking like in this match potentially. So let's switch over now. So as you can see there, down the left-hand side, we've got Aston Villa in their last 5 games. So they've won their last 5 games in a row there. So you've got them beating Wolves, which isn't difficult, 1-0. You've got them beating Brighton, 4-3, so thriller there. You've got them beating Arsenal. That was a good win for them, that, beating Arsenal 2-1. And then showing there in the Europe there, beating Basel 2-1. And then they've beat West Ham 3-2. So they've had some close games there. And I think I've said it in previous videos that they are, or seem to be, relying on wonder strikes. So it just depends on how long that can last for. And obviously that's not a sustainable way of winning a game, because that can't always work. And hopefully that stops in this game, because even better than these 5 wins, I'm sure it goes back further than that, and it's 9. It's either 9 wins in a row or it's 9 games unbeaten. But whichever one it is, it's a good sort of record that they've got at the minute, or a good run that they've got at the moment. Whereas on the right-hand side, and which is us, we've got that loss to Everton. We've got the win at Palace. We've got the draw against West Ham. We've got that win against Wolves, again, not a difficult thing. And then we had that 4-4 thriller, if you want to call it that, at Old Trafford with Bournemouth. So there is a bit of a difference there in terms of form and what that actually means for this game. So just going to look a bit further up in terms of who may be available. So as we know, we'll not have Ahmad. We'll not have Mazraoui. We'll not have Mbeumo because they've gone to AFCON. We've got Maguire injured. We've got De Ligt injured still. And then Casemiro suspended. So there is a lot of key misses there. So when you look at that, you would definitely say Ahmad's a starter, Mbeumo's a starter. Maguire, when he's fit, could be a starter. De Ligt has been a starter. Casemiro's always a starter. So we're missing key players there. And that's 6 key players that we're missing there. On their side, obviously, Sancho can't play against us. Be playing on PlayStation anyway. And then you've got Harvey Elliott there. No, there was something saying about him going back to Liverpool, but I suppose that might be in January. Pau Torres, Tyrone Mings, Ross Barkley. So, yeah, it's... in terms of what they've got missing, it's whether you feel that they're much of a difference, really. So looking at that, I think Barkley's a decent player. But in terms of a game changer, I wouldn't say that they're particularly missing anybody special, because we know their team, they've got some good players in their team. What I also like to do on FootMob is look at the insights. So just on the right hand side there, we've got Villa have won just one of their last 26 Premier League home games against United. So that is quite an important stat that we can probably hold on to a little bit, because again, a lot of the times when you've got teams going to grounds, they've already got it in their minds that they normally get a good result at that ground, and that normally carries them through a little bit. We've had teams do it against us over the years. Bournemouth, to be fair, more recently. So we can go to Villa Park and feel, okay, yes, they're on form. Yes, they've been winning games in a row. However, Villa Park has been quite a good ground for us. Villa have won their last 9 matches. So, yeah, we've got it there. They've won the last 9 matches in all competitions. So, again, a really good run for Villa. And they've scored 12 goals in the last 5 minutes of matches. So, where you think it might end in a draw, they're coming up with maybe a winner or drawing it level if they're losing. So, that's something that we need to be careful of. Only City have won more home Premier League points in 2025 than Villa. So over to us now. Scored 4 goals against Bournemouth, but we conceded 4 goals as well. Bruno could become the first player to assist in 6 consecutive away Premier League games. Interesting. United have won 18 Premier League games at Villa Park, more than any other away ground except Everton. And then finally there, United have kept a clean sheet in 9 consecutive matches. Oh, sorry, haven't. I thought that sounded a bit wrong there. Haven't kept a clean sheet in 9 consecutive matches. And that is a massive problem for us in terms of, yes, we're scoring, but then we're not keeping the opposition out. That's the problem. And that's what's led to us drawing that last game, because okay, you can sort of accept conceding a goal here and there at times, but it just seems to be like we're in a rut when it comes to keeping a clean sheet, and clean sheets are important. And obviously looking at the teams that are doing best in the league, I know we're not in their league, but Arsenal's and your Cities and what have you, they're the sort of teams that if they're not keeping a clean sheet, they're definitely scoring more than the other side, which sounds very simple, and it really is, but we need to work on that, definitely. So, covered who's out. Just trying to remember some of the stuff that was said in the press conference. I think, like I say, Amorim did sort of confirm about the absentees. Didn't give too much away about sort of setup and game plan or anything like that, because he does like to keep that away so that the opposition isn't aware of what he's going to do. So obviously he was really, really pissed off when it seemed like there was a leak when there was training in the 4-3-3, allegedly. So when he was questioned on that, clearly wasn't happy. Don't blame him. And obviously it's always shit to hear that there's leaks, because end of the day, you play for Manchester United. Obviously, it might not be a player, it could be a member of staff, but if it's a player, you play for Manchester United, you want to win, hopefully. You want to do the best for Manchester United and see them go back to where they should be. So leaking things is only going to be a detriment to the team. So why do it? And it is frustrating to hear about it, because you don't seem to hear about this stuff from other clubs now. Obviously, I don't concentrate that much on other clubs like I do with Manchester United, but it just doesn't feel like stuff like that is out in the media and that there's an actual issue or anything like that. So it can, like I say, get extremely frustrating, really. So in terms of setup then, obviously I'd expect to have hopefully actually, although at the time wasn't too keen with the sort of end-to-end stuff, and obviously ending 4-4 again for the neutral, probably fantastic game. I have to repeat that as much as I wasn't happy, and I'm on about not happy with the overall game and the result, the first half I was really happy with. Now, if I can see a first half like that, but in both halves, I will be happy. And then also then to progress from that is to actually score more goals than the opposition, but also keep the opposition out. Now, if you can put all that together, now we might not be able to do that without buying additional players, for example, and also the fact that we've got that added setback with AFCON players going and Casemiro out, for example. But I would still like to see that type of performance against Villa, because that's a type of performance that fans can get behind and can be quite excited to see and be interesting to watch their team, play in that manner. Because up to more recently, it's been sort of trying to build up in Amorim's shape, and then he kind of seemed like he went against that and started playing a bit more direct, as we could see against Liverpool, for example. And then he seemed to be trying to bring it back slightly, but in a different fashion now. So that, for me, I don't think I've seen them play like that under Amorim since Amorim came in. So I would quite like to see that again. So please let me know what you think in the comments. Did you enjoy that first half against Bournemouth? Did you enjoy the full game? Do you think I went over the top and in my sort of review on the game? Because like I say, overall, I wasn't overly happy, but you guys might think differently. So let me know what you think in the comments. So again, for setup anyway, I believe it's going to obviously be that. Well, I say obviously. With the players missing, there's been that hint of 4-3-3. There was, when you listen to the experts, there was a slight tweak in the formation against Bournemouth at times. So it did look like there was a back four where Yoro pushed out to right back at times. And there was almost like that flat back four system going on. And then because Dalot and Ahmad were pushing up quite high, there was acting more like wingers, as they should do, I suppose. So it was looking a little bit more like a probably not full on 4-3-3, but elements of it. So we can live with that if he's willing to adapt and change and just tweak the tactical side of things. I think we can all live with that if we can start to see performances. And then again, I've said this before, you have the performances and then the results will come with the performances eventually. So I think if you can see that and see a path to that, I think you can sort of be a bit more patient. So let's look forward to that happening again. Matchups then. Bruno in the middle, I suspect. No Casemiro, so is it going to be Ugarte or is it going to be Free Meno? I don't know. His brother might be able to tell us that. Then they'll be coming up against Onana, good player from Everton. Good sort of strength, and he's got the height and physicality. Kamara, another good midfielder. I think he was linked with us before he went to Villa. Never seemed to, obviously we didn't follow through on that, and the speculation sort of died down, and then he went to Villa anyway. Then in terms of sort of wing play matchups, you've got Dalot possibly versus Rodgers. That will be a good matchup because obviously Dalot would have to be on form depending on if he does play on that side, and Rodgers has been playing really well for Villa. Then you've got Dorgu and McGinn. So if that's what I'm saying, Dorgu, by the way, because that's all dependent on how he sets up. So losing Ahmad, do we have Dalot pushing to the right potentially? So if that's the case, I would probably say that Dorgu would come into the mix if that's the case, but also it dependent on how Amorim sets up, which obviously none of us are going to be sure at this stage. So what I'm going to do actually, go back onto FootMob. They've got a predicted lineup there, so I'm just going to talk through that and see if you sort of agree with their predicted lineup. I'm not sure I do, but let's have a quick look anyway. So on the left-hand side there, then that is not Manchester United, even though you see Lindelof, because obviously Lindelof's gone to Aston Villa. So left-hand side then, so you've got Maatsen there, good player. Lindelof used to play for us. Konsa, not a bad centre-back. And then Matty Cash there on the right-hand side. We've got Martinez that we were linked to in goal. Still a little bit disappointed we didn't get Martinez, really. I know he's a bit of a nut job. But when he's on it, he's a good shot stopper. He's got a lot of experience. I think he commands his box really well. However, we've got Le Mans. Let's see how we get on. In the centre there, I've already sort of mentioned them in terms of their matchups against Bruno and potentially Ogati or Firmino. So you've got Onana there and Kamara. And then also we've got on the left there, we've got Rodgers, who I've mentioned, who's been playing well. And then you've got McGinn on the right-hand side. Bit of a strange position to play McGinn in, really, because I always see him as more of a central midfielder, not someone that's going to be bombing down the wing and putting crosses in. But again, I haven't really watched Villa to see how effective McGinn is on that side. And then Tielemans in that sort of pocket just behind Watkins, and Watkins is a good tricky player. Over to the right-hand side there. So I'm not going to comment on the predicted lineup for Villa because I'm not sure. I will probably say that that's pretty much where it's probably going to be. But on the right-hand side, there might be a couple of things I might have changed, but let's have a look. So, Le Mans in goals, wouldn't change that. I've already said it. Yoro, right centre-back. So that's obviously if he's going to go with that sort of 3-4-3. So we'll start with that anyway. Martinez in the middle. Now, I'm not against it. I just don't know if he's fit and ready yet to play or to start a game. But I'm not against that, to be fair. And then Shaw, left centre-back. I mean, yeah, to be honest, we want a bit of experience in the central area. Wasn't happy with the lapse in concentration from Martinez for... was it Bournemouth's fourth goal, maybe? I think it was Bournemouth's fourth goal. Wasn't really happy there, but he just needs to get back into things. Going down that left-hand side there, so yeah, Dorgu, potentially, if he was going down that 3-4-3 route, he might not play if we don't do that. And then over the other side, Dalot. I think, to be fair, I've been critical of Dalot this season, but in the last couple of games, I think he's stepped up. Did like his cross for our first goal, was it? I think it was our first goal against Bournemouth. In the centre there, then, obviously, Bruno would be there if we're playing in this system. Obviously, there'd be arguments to push him into one of the number 10 positions, potentially. Ugarte, not been impressed with him when he's come on, to be honest. And I think I don't like what Meno's brother did, and the fact that it doesn't look like Meno has addressed it. So I don't like that. However, I think he played all right when he came on against Bournemouth. I'd be more inclined to play him because it looks like he was ahead in the pecking order against Ugarte more recently. So I'd probably put Meno in there. And then left 10, Mount, right 10, Cunha, and then up front, Sesko. Again, that could be mixed around a little bit where you might start Sesko on the bench. You could have Cunha playing the false 9. You could have Bruno in the number 10 position on the right-hand side. And then you could have Mount where he is. And then potentially you could have Meno and Ugarte in the sort of 6-8 positions, which, to be fair, they've played pretty well together when they have played in the past. It's just, I don't know about Ugarte at the minute. So, again, I'd probably be inclined to go with that, where I'd start Sesko on the bench, Cunha false 9, Bruno in that sort of 10, or even Bruno false 9, to be fair, because I've heard that going around where that could be a good idea. Actually, that could be a good idea, to be fair. You could have Bruno in the false 9, Cunha leaving where he is and Mount where he is, and put Bruno in the false 9. And then, as the game progresses, depending on which way it goes, you could then bring Sesko on, push Bruno back into the 8 position, and take one of Ugarte or Meno off. So, yeah, I'd probably actually think about Bruno false 9, to be fair. But I don't think he's going to do that, if I'm honest. So that's sort of the predicted sort of lineups that FootMob have put forward. Again, put your comments below if it's something that you agree with and think that that's how we should set up. Do you think we should go full on 4-3-3 if we've been training it? Or do you think we should do that sort of element of it as he was doing against Bournemouth? For those of you that noticed that. So again, please let us know what you think. I just wanted to quickly actually touch on, it seems to be heating up a little bit, this, so I'm just going to quickly look at this. So, bit of transfer news. I know I've said that I don't believe that Semenyo would be coming to Manchester United, but obviously the big journos are talking about it purely because he's got a release clause, which can be, I think it kicks in January, so we're not far off January now. And obviously Manchester United looks like they've made inquiries. Now, obviously inquiries are easy to make. You have a chat and say, what's the possibility? It doesn't really mean much. It's all about, for me in this one, because it's a release clause, it's always going to be about the player and where the player wants to go. And there were strong links to Liverpool to go over there to Anfield. And I'm not sure if Liverpool are still interested, but there were strong links there. And I was feeling that Semenyo was sort of leaning towards Liverpool. Now, if City are interested, as mentioned here by Fabrizio Romano, I would say if we're up against City, we'd probably lose. However, have City got enough wingers or wide men? Because I think they've got quite a few there. When you've got like Doku, for example. I know Foden sort of started to play sort of a bit more centrally. But, you know, they've got a few players there that can play on the wings, so it's whether he wants to go there. Does he want to have a guaranteed start at a club? To be honest, if he's going to get a guaranteed start at Manchester United, it's going to be at wing-back, I would have thought. But anyway, that's just a little bit of quick transfer news. Didn't feel that it was something that was going to happen because I just don't see Semenyo wanting to come to Manchester United and play as a wing-back. But who knows? I suppose if it's explained to him that the intentions, and I hope these are the intentions, that the wing backs are going to be playing high up, and which was quite impressive, to be fair, against Bournemouth, where we were winning the ball, and he would have seen that himself. He was playing in the game. We were winning the ball quite high up in their half, quite a lot, and I suppose if you're attacking more than you're defending, it's not too bad. It's just when you have to sit in, is Semenyo wanting to do that? I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's going to be wanting to do that. So just to sort of come in towards the end now of the video, just want to do a quick prediction. So please put your score prediction below. So again, I always say I get this feeling at the sort of start of the day or what have you. Positive for the game because I know we generally do well at Villa Park, but I'm going to be honest and say how I feel, and I think it's going to finish 2-2. So I do feel that we're going to score. I do feel that they're going to score purely because we can't keep a clean sheet. And also, even if we keep them away from the 6-yard area or what have you, they've been scoring bangers recently. So, and I don't want to dump on Le Mans, but he's been iffy at certain shots. So 2-2 is what I'm going for. Potentially tight game, but I'm going with 2-2. Hope I'm wrong, as always, that we actually win, and I wouldn't mind a 3-2 thriller. I don't think we're going to get a clean sheet, so 2-2 it is. Right. Again, as always, please subscribe to the channel because that's really important to new channels such as this. Please like and please share. Thanks for watching Dan Talks United, and I will see you on the next one.